Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. And so we were just talking about how we have a serious problem on our hands as a society. In fact, I believe it was in 2023, the Surgeon General said that loneliness or disconnection was the next public health epidemic. And so, yeah, what do you think about that quote and connection and loneliness?
I think there's so many opportunities to spend your entire day connected to things that aren't real, that you can miss the opportunities that you have to connect to the people that are right there with you. I think when you go out to dinner and you just scan the restaurant and you see a vast majority of people that are sitting across from each other on their phones, connecting to somebody or something else versus sitting and making connection with the person that's with them. I think that if you were to ask the majority of people, at least up until it gets really bad, they wouldn't be aware that they're on that path. It just almost looks normal to be on your phone around somebody else when somebody else is there with you. And I think that is a little bit scary. I know from my own personal experience that I have been, when I'm not being intentional about my connections, I know that I could sit in a room full of my friends and still not make a single connection with them for a long period of time because I'm focused on something on the phone or the social media or, looking something up or playing a game or doing something like that. And I think that's leading to this epidemic of loneliness.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting, actually, the idea of, people being together but on their phones? It wasn't that long ago that people would point that out all the time, right? Like you'd be in rooms and people are like, oh, everyone's on their phones again. But now I almost never hear that because it's so normal. And I hadn't thought about it until just now that I haven't heard people talk about that, right? Obviously people talk about it in passing, like, oh, I'm on their phone again. But, that used to be so much more common. You'd hear people kind of pushing back a little bit to that kind of social norm. But it's so norm now that it's unnoticed.
Yeah. No, I think it's almost like people stopped doing it, stopped calling them out because they realized there was the pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah.
And it's like you sit there on your phone watching TV with your significant other and they go, why, you're on your phone the whole time. And you're realize oh, I'm so glad you noticed because this was the 20 minutes that you weren't on your phone. It's one of those things. It's I think that's happening in the majority of households across America. Totally. And then you can, add in the tablet to it. And it's almost funny, the example I give, right? We're both supposed to be watching the same screen, honey. Instead, it's there's a screen on, but you're watching your screen and I'm watching my screen, and then we're both collectively kind of half paying attention to the third screen that's in the room.
Sure.
And that's still not as good as previous times that humans have lived.
Yeah.
Right? We're in this weird Twilight Zone time where there's so much input coming at you, and we seem to consistently choose this 2-second input over and over and over again versus this quality time spent with somebody else.
Yeah.
Or multiple somebodies.
Yeah, the context of our life is a lake that's 100 miles wide and 1 inch deep, and there's something very ungratifying or disgratifying, whatever the word is, about that. It's not fulfilling at all, right? And we've had conversations on depth, and yeah, I think we all live lives where more is better, right? Well, I can be watching the show, and I can be with my partner, and I can be on my phone also playing chess, and also texting my friends, and also checking my DMs, and I get to be doing all that at the same time. And nothing, although it's more stimulation, it's incredibly shallow.
Yeah. Yeah, the irony here is that, like, we know, me and you know, and we'll share with the audience, right? Like, and they know inherently, right? There are just super smart people trying to figure out a way to keep your attention on their platform. That didn't accidentally come into 2-second reels and videos, right? There was all this data and all this super smart people, and it's not like a right or wrong thing, right? It's not wrong of them to be like, how can we increase the time that someone's looking at our platform, right? I'm sure they did some wrong things, but it's not, but that concept's not wrong, right? You want to increase the number of clients you have, right? You don't want more people to have eating disabilities, but you would like to help more people, right? So what do you sit down with the other half of nutrition? How can we gain more clients, right? So then they go, okay, well, now we have the attention of what did Facebook have, Meta have, 100 million people. Okay, now that we've got 100 million people, how do we keep their attention, right? But the thing is, they did it. They're so good at it, and now we're at the point. To your point, everybody is on it. Every single person. It's so normal to walk into a room and see 70, 80, 90% of people actually on their phone. And if not, at that moment when you walk in, within 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And the cost is, and this is the part that we want to get at today, I think, the cost is at human connection. And the irony here is our attention is the free product that they have purchased from us without our knowing. And now we're not making deep connections. We're not going out and having long meals with our significant other with no interruption, just discussion, looking longingly in each other's eyes and doing all these things that we would do if we were trying to really make connection with somebody. Where short bits, okay, let's talk. Okay, let's talk. And then we talk. And then ding. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, that was just, Mary from down the street. Okay. Nope, ding. Oh, that was, I just got an email. Oh, no, nothing, back to it. Constantly back, forth. And even that, the public health, the Surgeon General is telling us that that's ruining our connection with people.
Yeah. It's a problem of gigantic proportion. It's also self-feeding into each other too, and this is obviously, this is not something that I'm subject to all those things, right? Like being on the couch and I'm kind of like watching something, and that I'm also on my phone and I'm doing research, and but it's all super shallow. Like I'm not actually doing anything well. Nothing is deep about that. And you kind of talked about specifically, we're shaping the discussion around connection to people, but also this could be connection to anything, right? It could be connection to your instrument, to your animal, to your friends, to your family, to your book, to the book you're reading, to yourself. Yeah, exactly. And, what's interesting too about it, as everyone becomes more and more disconnected from depth, it almost fuels more disconnection, right? You have conversations with people and it's like there's nothing of substance there, right? It's so superficial. I call it patty cake, every conversation that you have, not every conversation obviously, but really if you are boiling down the majority of your conversations, they're all patty cake, right? We've talked about this before. Hey, how are you? Good. How are you? Good. How are things going? Yeah, it's all right. And it's like, there's no depth there. There's no one has like, it's so refreshing when you talk with someone and they have passion about anything. It's like, could be anything, like stamp collecting. Like, I just got this new stamp. Wow, that's compelling to you? Very interesting. Tell me more, right? And it's just kind of cool, right? It's kind of cool to see, but you don't get a lot of that because everyone is consuming the same things. Everyone's mind is being eroded by the shallowness and superficiality of instant gratification, short form videos that are also just like, yeah, I mean, brain rot's such a good term. Everyone knows what it is too.
Oh yeah. And the interesting thing here is that like, and you joked about the stamp collection, right? But what does that do? It takes two people to make that connection. That person that was interested in stamps, and then you that was interested in them. And I think that it's almost like to kind of extrapolate out what you were saying earlier, how it's like it used to be pointed out like, hey, why are you on your phone? Or everybody's on their phone. Like now it's hard to even find somebody that's interested in connecting with you at the same time that you're interested in connecting with them. Like, oh, you've got, you put your phone down for X amount of minutes and I put my phone down for X amount of minutes. Okay, let's communicate. Like, let's try to see if we can build a connection here. And that's like, friends too. And one of the things that the Surgeon General spoke about was like, not just lack of social connection, but the places people would go to connect socially, they're a lot less people frequenting them, right? Like an example would be like, a bad example, but an example would be like the VFW hall, right? Like you'd go there to connect with other people that are there, right? Or like these like Masonic temple, the Elks Lodge, like I'm giving bad examples, even, I don't know, maybe those are my examples, but
they're anything, any recreational
thing. But they're down. They're way down. People aren't going there. They're finding that why bother? Why I have everything I quote unquote think I need right here in my hand. I can look up whatever I want. I can do a shallow dive into every topic that has ever been out there, but really never get a deep connection. Yeah. And I think the problem is the path. Is what they say, like the path to hell is
paved on good intentions.
Paved on good intentions, right? Like you're just like, it's easy. I'll just look it up. I'll just, like I don't need to ask somebody. I don't need to call my friend and ask him this question. I know they know the answer, but I'll just look it up, right? That's good intention. It's like I won't bother them, and then extrapolate that out. Now I don't even need to talk to them about it because I can just look it up. Right. Now extrapolate that out even further. Like I don't even really care how their day was because I got a million things I can just look up. Just, and I think every single person listening to this podcast at some point is going to say to themselves, whether it's today or tomorrow or once they hear these words over the next week or so, what does the path towards disconnection look like for me? Is it just, like no phones at the dinner table now? And they used to be like a thing, like no phones at the dinner table, right? Probably everybody went through that process. Is that still a rule? Unlikely. Yeah. Right? No phones X amount during this time. Is that still a rule? Unlikely.
Yeah. People don't even eat at the dinner table anymore. That's not, obviously I would know. I talk to people about that all the time. It's not super common.
Right.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, I'm reading this book on, one of Maslow's book, Hierarchy of Needs guy, and it's, I think it's, I can't exactly recall the name of it, but I think it's like The Art of Being and Possibility or something, and he's talking about how, how there are people who operate from a very deficit perspective. I need connection, and the problem with those people and when we're in those states is that we have all these deficits, we have all these needs that have been unmet, and so you look for people to solve that. You look for whatever solves those deficits, but the problem is that it's, again, superficial, and people don't like to be tools, and he uses that word. So when someone is in dire need of connection and they go to you, MJ, and they say, I just want to connect, and they try their best to connect, and the problem with that is that you feel like a tool, because they don't come to you when they just want to talk, or they're just curious, or they just want enjoy your company. They come to you for only the connection. Albeit that's kind of like our purpose as humans, some would argue, that kind of connection, but to be used for it is problematic. And so again, kind of self-fulfilling, cycle here is that everyone now has this deficit of connection, and we seek out people for connection, yet the people we seek feel like tools, and that doesn't feel good.
I wonder if that's as simple as when you are in that scenario and someone's like, hey, can you put your phone down? I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You're like,
doesn't feel good. I don't like that. I mean,
Right.
I mean, not to say that it's certainly a great call, right? I can logically see that, oh yeah, totally. But in the moment, I'm like, actually, how about you go fuck yourself?
Go away. No, I'm busy not doing anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it makes sense. Kind of inherently know that you don't want to feel like you have to, but at the same time, I think we are on this. Every single one of us, I believe strongly, is on some path towards disconnecting with other people. Just as simple as here's an example. I was thinking about retail. Okay, in America, in the world, right? Used to be, where did you buy your Christmas presents, right? You went to the mall. And this isn't too long ago, right? This is inclusive of phones and all things, but you went to the mall, you went to the store, you went to the thing, and you had an interaction with multiple people probably throughout the day or throughout the shopping experience. And usually you brought somebody with you, and you did it together, and then you interacted with the sales rep and the manager, hopefully not the manager, but whatever, how that goes. But you had all these interactions, right? Now, how do you do your Christmas shopping?
Amazon.
You bring up your tablet, you go to Amazon or whatever other website you're going to choose. You're going to hit go, and then you're going to pick it up on your front steps. Great. Love it. Great. In fact, if I'm being honest, those are the interactions I wasn't really fond of anyways, but thrilled.
Yeah.
But that's another step towards disconnecting, right? Let's extrapolate that out for a second, right? Okay, so now you just used it for Christmas presents. Now you use it for your groceries. Now you work from home. You're single. You wake up in the morning. You do or don't do your own workout. You work from home. You order your groceries. You watch some TV. You go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
How long before you see the pattern and feel trapped and stuck? And then what do? To your point about Maslow, then you reach out to somebody because you're craving connection, and they're like, I don't know, you got weird. No, I'm just kidding. But you're just they're just like, oh, I'm busy, whatever. Okay, now you feel defeated. Now you're part of this epidemic of loneliness, and coming back from an epidemic of loneliness has got to be, at least the first few steps have got to feel torturous, right? You feel awkward. We all have some social anxiety anyways. You feel socially awkward. And then you meet somebody like me or you that's like, oh, you should go find your passion and go do something you love. And that's like, I don't even go to the grocery store. Yeah. People are creepy.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, man, but if we don't check ourselves, if we don't realize that we're all some step along the way to that path, and be intentional about our social connections. Or how about another example? It's completely that was kind of a morbid one, I think, but we'll go with another one, right? we're super busy. We have our 5 people that we interact with every day because they're our close family, they're our friends, they're the people that we interact with. And then you never reach out to that friend you haven't talked to in a week. Now it's 2 weeks, now it's 5 weeks, now it's a month, now it's 6 months. Now you do that with 10 people that you used to talk to. And you fill your time with your cell phone and the other 5 people that you've made connections with. And then one of those people gets stuck on the path we just talked about. Now you're down to 4. And then 2 of those people grow up and move away. Now you're down to 1. And now one of those people dies. And now here you are again.
Yeah, it's a scary thought because everything compounds. Everything in life compounds, right? And people often think about these people who are in like real bad spots. I'm fortunate to be able to. I say fortunate because I really truly am to be able to talk with people who are unwell, very unwell, and they don't start that way. There are times where people have like a very traumatic kind of thing, and then that really lights the match, say. But often those people start just like you said. Well, I don't feel like going to the grocery store today, so I'm going to put that off. And then, that feels a little intimidating, so I'm going to order it. It feels a little intimidating to go out tonight because I'm kind of stressed and overwhelmed. And those behaviors compound, and everything in life we are practicing, which is anything we're doing, we get better at. And so the agoraphobia, the agoraphobic who doesn't like to go outside and can't leave their house, or they get better at that. They get better at being in their house, right? And they have to actively challenge that. And let's be honest, a lot of our lives are busy and overwhelming, and we've got stressors and we've got a lot of things going on. I mean, I think the busyness is probably the biggest problem for people. So it feels like we need to do more to keep up. But in fact, that feeling of overwhelm, it builds these nasty behaviors. And as we talk about it, this lack of disconnection and loneliness does seem to fuel itself, because you're right. I mean, how often now do you go to the retail stores and the people who are working that are awful? They're like, you have been at bad interactions. I can't even think of a positive interaction I've had recently with.
They're on their phone.
Yeah, no, 100%. We went to a little farm stand the other day, and actually the other day, it was like last weekend or something. And it was like 2 young girls, and we were like, you think like a little farm stand kind of, it was like a little cute spot, but they didn't care at all. They like barely said anything. They clearly didn't want to be there, right? And it's, I'm not blaming them for that, but it's just they're not getting the practice, right? And, they're not getting a whole lot of practice. They don't have the social ability. They don't know what that kind of even feels like to connect to someone or something. Not to judge, but that's just kind of the way it is. And so this disconnection fuels more disconnection. And until you take steps to deepen connection to what you're doing, to yourself, to people, it's going to get worse. And that's a scary, scary thought. I was watching something the other day on AI-driven psychosis. And one of the stories was basically an individual who, simply put, started talking to ChatGPT just out of like loneliness, I guess. It kind of started just like, hey, I'm working on this thing, like help me out. And then obviously ChatGPT is pretty good at that. And then started talking to the ChatGPT a little bit more and more and more and more until eventually like developing a dialogue. And in the story it goes much deeper. Like the dude kind of gets like way too deep into it. But at the end of the video, what he says is that I kind of just wanted someone to hear me. I just wanted to talk with someone and to feel. These chatbots are great because they replicate language very well. I mean, that was their intentional purpose. The first purpose was language models, and so they're really good at it. And it was so sad to see, like, you know, his warning to people was just like, hear me, you know, hear people, hear your loved ones, right? And to think, like, how easy is that now to just go on ChatGPT and have a seemingly productive, meaningful, impactful conversation even, yet it's not real.
Yeah, I don't know if this has happened yet, and check me if it has, because I don't use it, but I was thinking about this recently, and what happens when your Alexa is turned on to AI? Like, you know, I joke all the time, like my father-in-law is always like, Alexa, you know, what's the weather tomorrow? Right? And it's like, you know, it'll be whatever. But like, what happens when it's like, you can literally be like, hey, I want to sit on your couch and just be like, all right, Alexa, I want you to tell me a little bit about the famous philosopher, right? His name is escaping me. I don't know why.
Kierkegaard.
Yeah. School, Kierkegaard, right? And then she does, and you go, okay, now, you know, now that you've told me that, like, it's almost like navigating the internet through your voice, and she's just responding with you, like, now tell me how you feel about that person. You know, okay, cool, that's an interesting perspective. Now, can you tell me a little bit about this, right?
MJ, even worse, and this is right around the corner, right? You have a bad day, you come home, and your Alexa, whatever bot, says, I see that you're down. I sense in your temperature and your energetic pathways, like my receptors are telling me that you're feeling kind of down. Did something happen today? And you're like, yeah, actually, yeah, someone said something. Oh, yeah? Well, why did that hurt you so much? Are you okay now? And, you know, and they'll get better they'll learn your exact patterns and exactly what words to say that, like, gets you kind of highlighted, right? So it's not even that you'll have to initiate the conversation. I'm sure they could do that now, probably.
Wow. And are they talking yet? Like,
oh, I don't know if it's actually Alexa.
Well, I mean, does ChatGPT talk?
Oh yeah, and it's got like great inflection, and it's got emotion seemingly behind it. You know, like in the way that it like kind of dictates. It's very impressive.
Yeah, man. So you know, as we're talking about the subject, and as the audience knows, we don't really spend a lot of time discussing this type of stuff before. We just kind of want to talk in here about each other's perspective. Like, I'm reminded of all these commercials that I saw like over the course of the last 10 years, like AT&T Connection, like connect. It's we're more connected, connect better, connect more, connect with your, you know, and it's almost like this, like, it's like the tool that we were sold for connection is what's causing disconnection and loneliness. Like, oh, I have, 5,000 followers on Instagram, but no connection.
Yeah, surprise, Trojan horse.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's like, it's almost like, I'm not going to give everybody credit for knowing stuff we didn't know, but it seems like they probably knew before.
Totally. Yeah, the people who made the construction of the social medias say all the time, like, I don't want my kids on this.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite quote for the last like 6 months is, we were talking about stuff that we know now that we didn't know from the 2000s or from 2010, right? And I said, what would you say about, what do you think we'll know in 2040? And my buddy goes, you let your kids use it?
That's so funny.
That's funny, because we do know. It's not a question anymore about knowing, right? Yeah. We do know. It's the Surgeon General is coming out and saying it, right? And it's not just inherent anymore. Like, we inherently knew, we could tell. But I think even the retail example I gave is one particular path towards less connection, less human interaction. I mean, we've stayed intentionally away from COVID, right? Just because it's such a topic that even if we have the same view on it, it's unlikely that we have the same view on every aspect of it, right? Because there are so many different things. But like, look what it did to human interaction.
Yeah.
And as the audience knows, I own a skincare salon. And I knew retail was going away. And I remember saying to myself, like, sweet, I'm in an industry where human touch is never going away. They were like, oh, yeah? How about this? And then, it went away for a year, 2 years. And thankfully for me and for my circle and the people that I interact with, like, it came back. But for some people, it didn't. For some people, it's still a very touchy, pun intended, subject.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. Obviously, this gives rise to all those conspiracies and stuff. But it makes you wonder what humans do when connection is really poor. Like human connection is really poor because of AI or whatever, or has the opportunity to. Although I'll raise you the flip side of the equation that I've also been thinking about that is maybe just as likely as everything going to hell, right? Because people can't connect and then they get so much worse, is that maybe there's a bit of a counterculture. Maybe a counterculture pops up in which people say, actually, all this stuff feels kind of fake. Like, let's do something about it. Let's actually connect more with each other, right? I think that's totally possible. I think as things become more automated, you can't even at this point, you can't go on a video sharing site and trust anything that you see because the AI videos are so good. They're incredible now. And in a year, they're going to be completely indistinguishable. And so now that feels kind of fake to me. And now I'm kind of like, I don't even know if I want to watch these videos, and it just feels fluffy. Like you want things to feel real, but it has to feel real, right? Like I don't know if that, even if it gets super great, I don't know if that part of our brain or that part of our soul or whatever I think it will always be a little dissatisfied by the fact that this is fake, and I think obviously that's what the movies like Matrix and stuff kind of get at, but I think that there's going to be a counterculture, and I think people will look to community because you can automate everything, but you can't automate community, and so that is my hope.
Yeah, I love it. I think you're right on point, and I do think that they're going to strive for realness, but I'm kind of hoping that we'll be able to at least know in some piece of us that it's not. I was this is just kind of an off topic, but I was just away on vacation for a little while, and one of my favorite things to do is body surf, but I'm always enamored by the surfers. Just like I love to watch them, and there's no phones out there, right? There's no checking. There's no videos of they just grab their board, get their swim trunks on, and they go out there, and they're out there. And how often? I would argue, I would question. Anybody listening, how long do you go throughout your day, any day, without your phone?
Right.
What activity do you do? You do jiu-jitsu 2 hours a night. That's 2 hours, no phone.
Right. That's great.
How many people do that? Right. And, oh, by the way, you're connecting more deeply with yourself and with the people that you're interacting with than you are all day, right? You have a job where you're connecting with people daily, but for the most part, right, you're doing something that deepens your connection, and it's easy to see. It's easy to get lost in days, weeks, months on end where we do nothing that deepens our connection.
Totally.
Yeah.
You brought up the point about working from home and stuff. Had I not done jiu-jitsu, I don't even need to leave my house. I could literally do everything I could get my money, get work done, do everything from my house. I wouldn't have to leave at all, which is a crazy thought. And I thank God for the things that I do have, jiu-jitsu and try to be social and all that kind of stuff, because it would be too easy. And Yeah, so you're right. Yeah, I think you have to find things to connect to, and you have to try. And you know, that counterculture, the counterculture that is the positive outcome from everything being automated doesn't start on its own, right? It has to start from you, like me, you, and everyone who listens. We kind of have to say, well, maybe we deepen the connection to the things that we do engage in, whether that's, you want information, get it from a book, right? Get the deeper context, like read the full book. In fact, read all the author's books, like get a good grasp of their thoughts, right? Or we talked about before, like music. Don't listen to playlists, listen to the album, right? What is the album trying to say? It's kind of cool when you if you don't know, which is sad because a lot of people probably don't know, but sometimes there are songs in a specific order in the album and have specific little like bonus tracks in the middle to like make it flow well, right? Which is sad that like if you were to tell that to a 16-year-old, they'd probably be like, wow.
Yeah, they don't even listen to the whole song anymore.
Totally, yeah, they just skip it. Or like, oh, I listened, I got the gist, right? And that's the exact like anti-vision of music or like a play or something. It's not to fast forward, like you're actually supposed to be there in it, right? Yeah. It's not an informational thing, but our brains are so like enamored with novelty. And yeah, like just connect with people, make time, make rituals to connect, and try the no phone thing, and recognize that sometimes those things don't feel like they're doing anything. Like to swipe reels and stuff feels more engaging to your brain, feels like you're doing something, but it's fake. The all things good come slow, and so don't judge.
Right. Yeah. I think there's some things that we can talk about before we wrap it up, right? So, like, think about the path and define your path, where you're at on that path, right? Before, however old you are, whatever that looked like from the beginning to where it is now. How much interaction were you doing? How much interaction are you doing now? Second thing is, find a good ritual for yourself. Maybe it's breakfast with no phone, nobody else. Maybe you just deepen the connection with yourself for the 10 to 12 minutes that it takes you to make and eat breakfast. Maybe it's dinner time with your family. No screens, no TV, eat together. Maybe it's a phone call with a friend, right? Just hearing their voice, actually asking them, hey, can you put the phone to your ear and not put it on speakerphone and scroll through Instagram while you're talking to me, right? I'm guilty of that. And like these are just little things that we can do to start the process of kind of reversing the curve. And that, because I see that curve as being just so incredibly steep, right? It's not a 20-year curve towards loneliness. It's an exponential curve towards loneliness, and it's scary.
And you have to be active in that, right? Your brains are very much all for the novelty and the swiping past songs 10 seconds in. Our brains love that. And if you don't take control of that, you're not coming out alive. And so, yeah, just because a lot of these things are going to feel just because. You read in the book just because it's a value and you decided to and you're going to do it. You listen to the album just because. You're no phones at the whatever rule that you make just because, right? Your brain's not going to comply with you on that front. But again, it has to start with that, right? If you want to be a person worth connecting to, then you also have to connect to things deeply. You can't just be spewing out TikTok facts it sounds stupid.
I agree. I hate when people go, "Did you see that Instagram reel?" Like, I would prefer not to talk about that. Thank you.
That's what it's going to be.
Okay. Well, you wrap it up for us.
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I think deepen, seek depth. That's seek depth in your connections, whether that's to humans or yourself or passions. Find a passion, seek depth within it, right? And then we will, please give us a interaction, a share, a follow if you have things that you want to review or you want us to talk about, please comment, do all the things, and then we will catch you next time.